You've already decided who you are. You did it this morning, before you were even awake enough to argue with yourself. The first thing you reached for, the thing you opened without thinking, the promise you quietly broke again. That's the real you. And by the end of this, you'll see why the version of you living in your head has almost nothing to do with it. Here's the uncomfortable part. You believe in the person you intend to become, the founder, the artist, the one with the body, the skill, the freedom. You can describe that person in vivid detail. You've described them to friends, maybe to a camera, maybe to yourself at 2 a.m. when the plan felt so close you could taste it. But nobody has ever met that person. They exist nowhere except inside your forecast. What exists is the repetition, the thing your hands actually do when no one is grading you. Think about how you judge other people. You don't read their journal. You don't audit their dreams. You watch what they do over and over, and you draw a line through the dots. The friend who says they'll start the channel next month, every month, for 2 years. You already know the truth about them. You filed it away long ago. You're generous enough to let them keep talking, but you stopped believing the words. Now turn that same cold eye on yourself. What line runs through your dots? The brain has a cruel little trick here, and it has a name: the intention-action gap. Researchers who study behavior change found something brutal in the numbers. Across studies on exercise, a strong intention to act predicts the actual doing far less than you'd ever guess. Roughly half the people with a genuine, sincere plan to move simply don't. They aren't liars. Intending feels almost identical to doing. Your mind pays out a small reward for planning the workout, nearly the same hit it gives for finishing it. So you collect the reward, and the body never moves. That's the machine you're fighting. It's rigged to let you feel like a builder while you stay a dreamer. Which raises the obvious question. If intentions are this cheap, what actually moves the line? Repetition under conditions you didn't choose. Let me show you with someone real. The cellist Pablo Casals practiced into his 90s. Someone asked why a man universally called the greatest still practiced 3 hours a day. He said, "Because I think I'm making progress." He trusted the morning, the reps, the visible count. I started logging mine in Hone, no account required, link in the description. And the streak itself turned into proof the work was real. The thing done again, whether or not he felt like the kind of person who does it. You probably do the opposite. You wait to feel like the kind of person who trains, who ships, who writes, and then you act from that feeling. So on the days the feeling shows up, you're a god. On the days it doesn't, you're nobody. Your output looks like a heart monitor on a bad night. Spikes and flatlines. Here's the reframe that took me years to swallow. The feeling was the exhaust, never the engine. You feel like a builder because, for the 9th day running, you built. The identity sits downstream. It's the smoke, and the work is the fire, and you've been sitting in the cold trying to summon smoke out of thin air. So why does this break so often? Why do you know all this and still scroll? Because the cost is invisible and the relief is instant. Skip one day, nothing collapses. The video still gets made eventually. The body doesn't fall apart in 24 hours. The skill doesn't vanish overnight. Each single surrender is free. That's the trap. You're never choosing between your dream and one lazy afternoon. The afternoon always wins that fight because it's only ever one afternoon. But you're not living one afternoon. You're living 1,000 of them, stacked. The version of you in 5 years is just the sum of what you did on the average Tuesday, multiplied out. Nobody decides to waste a decade. They decide to waste a Tuesday, and then they reuse the decision. Sit in that, because it's the whole game. Your future gets built by your most repeated day, not your best one. So what do you do with this? You stop negotiating with motivation, because motivation is a flake, and it will not show up to the meetings. You make the rep smaller than your resistance. Forget the inspiring goal. Build the embarrassingly small floor. 2 minutes of the instrument. 1 paragraph, 1 set. Small enough that the part of you hunting for an exit can't find a reason to bail. People hear that and push back. The floor is too small to matter, they say. 2 minutes builds nothing. And they're half right. 2 minutes of guitar won't make you good. But that's the wrong scoreboard. The 2 minutes isn't training your hands. It's training the identity. It's casting one more vote for the person who picks up the instrument no matter what. Do enough small days and the floor stops being where you quit. It becomes where you start. There's a builder I think about often. A guy who wanted to write, but had a day job draining him dry. He couldn't find energy for an hour of writing, so he gave up on the hour. He committed to a single sentence a night. 1. That was the entire deal. And almost every night, once the page was open and the one sentence was down, he kept going, because starting was the only wall. Within a couple of years, he had finished manuscripts. You don't need his exact story, you need his move. He shrank the rep below his resistance, then let momentum do the rest. There's a quieter benefit nobody mentions, and it's the one that actually compounds. When the rep is automatic, it stops costing you decisions. Right now, you spend an absurd amount of energy each day relitigating whether to train, whether to open the editor, whether to ship the thing. Every one of those debates drains a battery you needed for the actual work. Make the rep non-negotiable and the debate disappears. You don't argue about brushing your teeth. You just do it, and the entire question vanishes from your day. That's what you're really building. Not just the skill, but a self that no longer wastes itself deciding. Pick the rep that matters most in the world you're actually building. If you're growing an audience, it's publishing, not perfecting. 1 post out the door beats 10 polished in a folder nobody sees. If you're learning to code, it's the daily commit, however ugly. If it's your body, it's showing up under the bar on the day you feel flat, because the flat days are the ones that separate people. The specific rep matters less than the fact that it's yours, and it repeats. Choose one, guard it like rent. Watch what your hands do for the next 3 days, and you'll have your honest answer. Track it like a stranger would, with no mercy and no story. Not what you meant to do, what got done. Most people have never once looked at that data straight. They prefer the forecast, because the forecast flatters and the data does not. And when you do look, drop the urge to hate yourself. The self-loathing is just another flinch away from the rep. The person who beats themselves up about the gym and the person who skips the gym are usually the same person, burning the fuel on guilt instead of the work. Skip the drama. The data isn't a verdict on your worth. It's a map of where the votes have been going. The second you see it clearly, you can cast the next one differently. This is the part nobody on the internet wants to sell you, because it doesn't fit on a poster. Some of what's eating your repetition is a brain running on no sleep. A phone engineered by the smartest people alive to harvest exactly the hours you meant to spend building. You're outgunned by it. And there's a difference, because being weak is a flaw you'll just feel bad about, while being outgunned is a design problem you can attack. So attack the design instead of your willpower. Willpower is the most expensive, least reliable tool in the box, and you keep grabbing it first. Make the phone live in another room while you work. Lay out the gym clothes the night before, so the morning has no decision left in it. Open the project file before you sleep, so it's the first thing your eyes land on. You're rigging your environment so the right rep is the path of least resistance, and the wrong one takes effort. Quiet structure, repeated, beats loud intention every time. Notice what happens as you stack these. The first few days, you're acting against your self-image. You're a person who quits, doing the thing a finisher does, and it feels like wearing someone else's coat. Keep going. Around the point where the count gets long enough that you don't want to break it, something flips. The streak itself becomes the thing you guard. You're no longer dragging yourself to the rep. You're protecting it. That's the moment the identity catches up to the action. The smoke finally rises because the fire's been burning for weeks. And then the strangest thing happens to the dream you started with. It goes quiet. You stop announcing it. You stop needing to describe the future you to anyone because you're too busy being a slightly more boring, infinitely more dangerous version of them right now. The people who talk most about who they're going to be are almost always the ones furthest from doing it. The talk is a substitute for the rep. It pays the same reward with none of the cost. So here's where it lands. Go back to this morning, to that first thing you reached for without thinking. That was a vote cast by the real you for the person you're quietly becoming. You get to cast another one in about a minute, the second this ends. Same machinery, opposite direction. Your intentions made promises your hands never kept. So stop trusting the promises. Trust the count, build the rep you can repeat tomorrow when you feel like nothing, and the one after that until the person you keep describing gets tired of waiting in your head and walks out into your hands. You don't have to believe you're that person yet. You just have to do the next rep before the part of you that quits notices you've started.